If people had not resolved to foil the secret designs of Ravana, they would have continued to suffer the atrocities of Ravana. They would have nobody to complain to against Ravana's excesses. He being the supreme authority, the unchallenged ruler of the world, nobody could do anything to provide relief to the suffering masses. Ravana and other demon kings who followed him were determined to torture and torment the innocent people in order to establish their unchallenged rule all over the world. But Lord Shanishchara took up the banner of revolt and exposed him to the whole world, and thus relieved the world of the excesses of Ravana. People were beholden to Shanishchara, who informed the world of Ravana's secret designs and mobilized them to get rid of his sins. People could frustrate the ambitious plan of Ravana because they far outnumbered Ravana's own people. If Ravana had succeeded in his plan and damned the world, nobody could even know the secret of his power. He would continue to wield his power to dominate and suppress the entire humanity. He would not let people embrace peaceful death. So, it was people's good luck that Ravana's secret sin came to light, which strengthened people's solidarity all over the world, and they stood up to sound the death knell to Ravana and his descendants. They succeeded in their venture, and nobody was left in Ravana's clan to light a lamp after him to continue his lineage. Thus, every trace of his dynasty having been wiped out, nobody was left who could practice this sin against humanity. The law of nature ultimately prevailed. Those who wanted to harm the world by irreligious and unethical deeds were wiped out. Ravana practiced diabolism secretly. Obviously, nobody would have allowed him if he did it in full view of the people around him. He could not have run the risk of people's retribution. Even Shanishchara did not know that it was Ravana's diabolism which was the cause of his suffering. Ravana was performing the sinful rite on the 84 lakh kundis, but Shanishchara was told that the stars were unfavorable to him and he had been condemned to the hell. Then Ravana manipulated the dreams of Shanishchara, who saw in his dreams some holy men who had died long ago. He thought that if a person who was alive came to harm him, he could understand it, but it was not understood how persons who had died long ago could harm him by appearing in his dreams. He could not understand how these immortalized souls perform any sinful rite by sacrificing animals, etc., on the 84 lakh kundis to torment him. After a lot of thinking, he realized that it was the wizardry of Ravana and not the effect of the unfavorable stars which was responsible for his suffering. He also realized that Ravana had circulated books and almanacs which are not authentic religious texts. Earlier, when Shanishchara had not been tormented by means of the sinful rites performed on the 84 lakh kundis, he too considered those books which devout people were reading with great reverence to be the authentic ancient texts. It was only after he was tortured, did he introspect, that a devout and religious-minded person is protected by 32 Lakshanas characteristics, but in spite of his being a truly devout person, he had to undergo tortures. Then he concluded that it was due to some kind of mystic ritual being performed by Ravana secretly, although to all appearances he seemed well disposed to Shanishchara. He wore this mask because he did not want to be exposed. After ascertaining that Ravana was indulging in a sinful activity, Shanishthara shared his experiences with the people of the world who were busy reading the Vedas, the Shastras, and other scriptures, and told them that they should be on their guard because Ravana was performing at a secret place the sacrificial rite on the 84 lakh kundis which they were reading about in those books. He further told them that the books, almanacs, etc., making prognosis about unfavorable planetary positions, outbreak of epidemics, ominous eclipses, conflicts, and bloodsheds, etc., were the product of Ravana, who wanted to strike terror in the minds of the holy men and others. God is kind to all without discrimination. In his dispensation, both lions and goats flocked together. It was not God's curse, but Ravana's diabolism which was troubling them. It was not God's curse, but Ravana's diabolism which was troubling him. He told the people Ravana was performing it at some secret place by sacrificing animals. When Shanishthara approached Lord Ramachandra and other divinities and told them about Ravana's sin, and when the demoniac texts of Ravana were studied by Lord Ramachandra and other kings, they came to know how widespread Ravana's sin was. Having traced the secret network of Ravana's sinful activity, they assured the people that those who are religious minded would be awarded for their noble deeds, whereas those who were indulging in sinful act and injustice to others would be punished. When the misdeeds and falsehood of Ravana came to light, they felt concern for the people who had lost their sense of judgment owing to Ravana's diabolism to the extent that they were praising him. The books produced and circulated by Ravana were full of bizarre details of irrational stories and various myths and falsehood. The horrific description of the 84 lakh kundis, the story of someone placing earth between his jaws and of someone else putting the sun and the moon in his mouth, the bizarre incidents of alcohol turning into milk and of meat turning into jaggery, the unbelievable incidents of the dead men coming back to life were some of the contents of those books. These books and other texts were seized by the kings. Shanishthara told them the secret of the miracle in which a person who died at a young age was revived by the touch of a holy man. In fact, Ravana performed the sacrificial ritual on the 84 lakh kundis to curse an individual, as a result of which he died prematurely. The moment he stopped the ritual, that person came back to life. A person who is dead cannot be revived by the touch of anybody. In fact, people are dying at a very young age because of the diabolism being practiced by some unscrupulous elements. Now, if they want him to revive, they stop the ritual which they were performing to curse him. Meanwhile, some holy man comes and touches him and he gets up. People think that the holy man has some miraculous power and thus they begin to praise him. Then these holy men start claiming that they have done a lot of bhakti devotion which has earned them this miraculous power by which they can bring a dead person back to life. If the touch of some holy man fails to bring a dead person back to life, they say that he had not done sufficient bhakti and that's why he has not been blessed with the miraculous powers. The holy men whose touch cures a sick man think that they are extraordinary human beings endowed with a supernatural power. They do not know that it is not their power which has cured a patient or revived a dead person, but the diabolic game which is causing premature death and then revival of a person. A person who dies after completing his lifespan cannot come back to life. Only a person who dies prematurely can be brought back to life by the diabolic power. The effect of diabolism is all pervading. Under its influence, people can neither think nor see properly. To a person under its influence, alcohol looks like milk, meat looks like jaggery, and water looks like ghee. Miracles of this kind are given wide publicity by means of pamphlets and books. Even the religious minded sadhus are influenced by them, so much so that they forget God. Shanishchara brought such books and pamphlets of miracles to the notice of the rulers of those times. While showing the books and other writings meant for furthering Ravana's diabolic plan, Shanishchara told the kings and those in power that the poor sadhus and fakirs are not to blame because they were not in their senses. Their intellectual faculty had been captivated by Ravana. People in whose homes those books are found got terribly scared and realized that Ravana had done a lot of injustice to them by planting those books in their homes in order to get them and their offspring destroyed. If, according to Ravana's plan, the powerful rulers of foreign lands had come across these books, they would have instantly come to the conclusion that the Indian people, including their rulers, were indulging in inhuman acts of diabolism. Sensing this, the people and the rulers of India informed the foreign powers about the secret designs of Ravana. The fear of total annihilation brought the rulers and common people of India and those of other countries on a common platform, and with their combined strength, they vanquished Ravana and put an end to his diabolism. The timely action by the people saved the world from the savagery of Ravana. The books spreading ominous messages were thrown into rivers. It is said that Lord Ramachandra and other rulers of the world consigned those dreadful books to water since they were the source of Ravana's diabolic plan. It was very essential to destroy them in the interest of the entire humanity. The Vaniyas have resorted to the same modus operandi. They have done much more harm than Ravana could have done. They have corrupted the buddhi, intellect of the people of the world to such a large extent that Ravana's evil has paled into insignificance. On the warning sounded by Shanishchara, the people then became vigilant. But the influence of the diabolism of these Mahajans has so much stupefied people of this generation that they are completely deaf to any sane advice. I have suffered a lot, and my deeply felt concern for the rulers, the sadhus, the fakirs, and all sections of society has emboldened me to expose their sins. Their influence on some of the people is so deep-rooted that they disregard my advice and say that they do not understand what black magic is. I try my best to explain to the people that the Baniyas have destroyed their thinking faculty, and in that state of mind, they do not understand that the Baniyas are engaged in a mystic practice of diabolism which has the effect of harming the world and its environment, and to hoodwing the people, they have thrown up some terms like Rakshasa Vidya, Kafir Vidya, Jadu Chala, Kal, etc. When they can harm and control earth, the sun, the moon, and the rain, then how can the human beings escape their all-encompassing web? In spite of my telling them in great detail about the sinful practice of these unscrupulous people, they do not listen to me. They have been hearing from the almanacs read out to them that calamitous happenings like epidemics, eclipses, large-scale disasters, etc. are in store for them. People during the times of Ravana and Hiranyakashipu did understand that the calamities befalling them were due to some sin, people of the present times should similarly realize that their problems are also caused by the sinful practice of the present day Ravanas. I am entrapped in their web, and so I can clearly see the intricacies of their sin. I know for certain that they can harm anybody by cursing him. I am recording in this book my experiences and all that I have suffered so as to make the world aware of the secret and sinful activities of the Baniyas. I have spent thousands of rupees only to keep the people on their guard and take steps to protect their present and coming generations from total annihilation. But people do not seem to listen to me. If during my lifetime their sin can be put to an end, and then there is some hope, otherwise there is no hope, because they have a strong organization which is growing day by day. Then there will be nobody to detect their sin and inform the people about it. In that case, how can you get rid of their sin? So, have trust in what I am addressing you through this book and do something to get rid of their web of sin. Acceptance of their sinful activity as proper and right, and inaction or procrastination on the part of the kings and the common subjects will further strengthen their net, which you people can never break. It is therefore advisable that you should attempt to dismantle it during my lifetime. I discovered the secret operation of the Baniyas when they tormented me by their diabolism. There was little hope that I will survive their torture, but as soon as their net fell on me, I started exposing them. I told the whole world that the Baniyas have tormented me, that they continue to do so shows that they want to kill me. But they stopped short of killing me because they were afraid that if they killed me, the whole world would know about their sin and people would be on their guard lest they too should fall a victim to the killing spree of the Baniyas. Then their secret operation will be unearthed, they feared. That's why I was not killed. Let me tell you that their sin is gaining ground to damn the whole world. Therefore, I thought it proper to inform the world about the sinful activities of the Baniyas. I hope that once people came to know about the diabolism of the Baniyas, they would certainly take action in the interest of the well-being of their offsprings. Afraid of being exposed, the Baniyas stopped short of killing me. I want to tell you that these Baniyas are engaged in a secret operation in an undisclosed island. The suffering that they have caused by their diabolism beggars description. The Baniyas are practicing diabolism in the same way as Ravana practiced long ago. As a result of this, people are losing their intellectual faculty and they do not understand the reality despite my efforts. Each one of us has been granted full span of life by God, but some are dying prematurely owing to the curse of diabolism. The premature death of some people impelled me to inform and educate the people of the world about the clandestine activities of these Baniyas so that people would get rid of the sins of these Saudagars during my lifetime, and the present and coming generation of the world would enjoy life fully. Otherwise, nobody will even know about their secret operation because these Saudagars easily mix up with unsuspecting people and corrupt their intellect and win their trust. Now what I want to say is that the way Shanishtar exposed Ravana's secret operation to the world and its rulers, and the latter responded positively by dismantling Ravana's diabolism by their joint efforts, in the same way I having discovered the scene of the Banias, do inform the rulers and the common citizens of the world about their clandestine activities and exhort them to dismantle their net so that the children of the world are not harmed by their diabolism. If it can be done, the Satyuga will return and everything will start happening a la Satyuga. The gold and silver mines will reappear. When a man is ill, he becomes weak. Owing to weakness, his body loses essential fat. But soon after he gets well, he regains his strength and his body develops essential fat. This needs to be understood that Mother Earth, like human beings, has flesh, blood, bones, fat, etc. in her body. Hills and mountains are Mother Earth's bones, soil is flesh, and gold and silver mines serve as fat in Mother Earth's body. The green-colored emerald is like a mountain. The Banias are causing famine, which has weakened Mother Earth. The fat in her body has disappeared. There is no luminosity left in her. You know, when a person becomes weak due to illness, he loses his charm and looks ugly. In the same way, Mother Earth has lost her charm beyond recognition. The Almighty has made the body of Mother Earth different from that of a human being or an animal. Trees and plants have different shapes and sizes. God has thus given different structures to different things on earth. All of you should keep in mind that the day you, the people of the world, make a common cause to dismantle the net of these Banias, Mother Earth will regain her lost charm and glory. When the mountains will sparkle like a diamond or an emerald, when Mother Earth will be cured of her illness, when all nutritive things and precious elements will resurface as they were present during the Satyuga, then only you can be sure that the Banias have stopped practicing diabolism. Otherwise, they, by their diabolic power, can create illusions. They will not give up diabolism fully, but will suggest as if they have completely stopped practicing it. So keep it in mind that when they have completely given up their sin, no one will die a premature death. The people of the world will have love and affection for each other. The lions and the goats will flock together. People, not on speaking terms, will nurture a fellow feeling for each other. Things will happen the way they happened in the Satyuga. Then you can be sure that they are not indulging in sinful ritual to curse the world. They perform this sinful ritual secretly, so nobody knows what kind of sinful ritual they are performing and where. That's why nobody can make them stop performing it. I came to know about their clandestine activities because they tormented me by their diabolism. I can see how much disaster they have caused by their sinful practice. Therefore, you must listen to me very carefully and thoughtfully. The Almighty has granted a human being a lifespan of 125 years. Thus I am to live for 125 years. I was born in Chaitra Sudi 14, Sambat 1905. Accordingly, I will live till Sambat 2030. These years have been granted to me by the Almighty and not a human being. So every humankind is destined to live for 125 years. But they do not let anybody live his full lifetime. So people are dying prematurely. Only 1 or 2 out of millions live their full lifespan. I am not worried about it. I am worried for a different reason. My worry is that when the Banias will curse me to death prematurely, then nobody will be there to bring their clandestine activities to the notice of the world. In fact, the Banias think that it is in their interest to kill me because I happen to know their secrets. When I will not be around, they can continue their sinful activity without any hindrance. That's why they want to curse me to death by their diabolic power. They know that as Shanishara know about their sin, so do I. If they do not kill me, they fear I will expose them to the whole world, and the people of the world will join hands to dismantle their sinful act. If people succeed, they will not be able to damn the world and grab its riches. They do not want to give up their sinful practice, and that's why they think so. When during Ravana's times, Ravana tormented Shanishara, the latter advised Vibhishana to put an end to that sin during his Vibhishana's lifetime, and only then he would remain safe. He warned Vibhishana, if you will kill me by diabolism, you, along with your brother, will be liquidated by the people of the world. The world is not aware of your sinful practice, but I have identified your secret operation, which I am bringing to your notice. So you must give up this sin in my presence. You know everything about your diabolic operation. If you do not do so in my presence and tell the world that you have given up your sin, people will not have any means to know whether you have actually stopped practicing it. So you should stop it in my presence. Vibhishana was convinced by the advice of Shanishara and assured him that, as advised by him, he would not allow the sinful practice to continue in his clan. Since Vibhishana was in agreement with Shanishara, he was ready to put a stop to the sin. But when he conveyed this to Ravana, the latter was not prepared to give up the practice of diabolism in the presence of Shanishara. When Shanishara persisted, Ravana disclosed the details of his diabolism only partly. Shanishara, who knew everything about his sin and how he practiced it, was convinced that he would not come out with the whole truth. Ravana was not coming out with the whole truth because he thought if he retained the core of the secret knowledge with him, he would resume that activity after one generation or two. But Shanishara was very intelligent. He sensed Ravana's intention and refused to be taken in by his efforts to camouflage his sin. When Shanishara's persistent efforts failed to elicit full details of Ravana's sin, he approached Vibhishana, who disclosed every detail of Ravana's secret operation. Shanishara got suspicious about the intentions of Ravana, and he told the whole world that he did not trust Ravana, who had not come out with the whole truth. Striking a note of warning, he said, no one should be surprised if he chooses to resume his sinful practice after a generation or two, because he lies even to me. How can you people expect that he will speak the truth to you? Therefore, I take it upon myself to inform you, the rulers and the subjects of the world, about Ravana's sin, and to exhort you to take whatever action you choose to dismantle his sinful operation. The people of the world gave a serious thought to the advice of Shanishara, since they were convinced that he knew Ravana's secret. They were convinced that unless they punished Ravana and his descendants to death, his sin would continue to scourge the humanity. So, fearing that their offspring would be doomed if Ravana's sin was not put to an end, they unitedly liquidated Ravana along with all his descendants. This fact is well known to the people of the world. Now the Banyas have tormented me by the same diabolism which Ravana practiced to torment Shanishara. They are cursing Mother Earth by means of their mystic ritual. They are threatening to kill me by their diabolic rite. I have been going to the places where the Banyas assemble, and when all their headmen, Saudagars, etc. meet, I persuade them to give up practicing diabolism. pleading ignorance. Some of them will say, "Go and punish those who are practicing this sin." Some other will say, "I don't know anything about it." There are others who say, "We will not give it up. We will practice it with vengeance as Ravana did." Thereupon I advised them to give up their sin, which all of them as one community were indulging in, following in the footsteps of Ravana. I told the Mahajans that if they stopped it, they too, like Vibhishana, will attain salvation. Impressing upon them to give up their sin, I said, "You are running this operation jointly because it cannot be run by an individual. I have exposed your sin in spite of your trying hard to keep it a closely guarded secret." When you are not telling me, how can you tell others who do not know anything about it? You will damn everybody and take the riches of the world in your possession. I told them that even the mighty Ravana could not have his way, so how they, the Saudagars, could hold on to it for long? I then advised them to give up their sin in the interest of safety and security of their own offspring. I further told them that the way Shanishchara had discovered Ravana's sin and his persistent efforts forced Ravana to give up his sinful practice during the lifetime of Shanishchara, they should also abandon his abhorrent practice during my lifetime, or else the people of the world would join hands and kill them. Ravana did not disclose his secret activity fully to Shanishchara, who then told the whole world that since Ravana was not coming out with the whole truth, it was up to them to deal with him in any way they liked. So, believing in the words of Shanishchara, they lynched Ravana. After narrating this incident to them, I said firmly to the Saudagars, "I want you to abandon your sinful practice. You are downright unscrupulous people. You swear by the Almighty God in the presence of the rulers, saying that you have stopped committing sin so that you are let off with mild punishment. But after a generation or two, you people come back to your old game. You have been managing like this, but now I am not going to rest content unless you stop it completely." Admonishing them, I said, "You are rogues of the first order. You are ruining the whole world. You are completely devoid of pity and compassion. You have corrupted the intellect of the people." So when I approached the rulers and men in authority to acquaint them with your sinful practice, they, under the influence of your diabolism, treat me as if I was a stupid. People stupefied by you hurl abuse at me while you are busy with your wicked game day in and day out and would not stop. When finding them not listening to me, I argue with them. They even beat me up. It is all due to the effect of your diabolism. You do not want people to understand things. You have spoiled their mind with your diabolism, and so they are heckling and pushing me around. So the people of the world, I want you to understand seriously how widespread their sin is and how it has influenced your thinking, that you cannot discriminate between right and wrong. The evil that they do is perfectly all right in your eyes, whereas things which are good for you appear bad to you. This is all due to the diabolism being practiced by the Banyas. Therefore, unless you fully understand their wave of sin and do something to dismantle it, they will go on practicing it. Whenever I tried to make people see reason, I was treated shabbily by the people under the diabolic influence. But when people began to understand their devilry, They hailed me as their guru, guide, or teacher. But I do not claim to be the guru of anybody, nor am I a disciple of any guru. I do not make anybody my disciple either. These Banyas, like Ravana, have spoiled the mindset of the people and do not let anybody get wind of their secret operation. So someone has to expose them to the world. A person who can discover the secret of diabolism and inform the world about it is a savior, as has been mentioned in the sacred Vedas and Shastras. I am moved by the untimely death of children in the world. I have therefore decided, in the name of God, to expose the Banyas and their sinful activities to the whole world, so that the children of the world have not to die untimely. People do not understand, and yet, in spite of my failing health, I am determined on my mission to expose them. I do not have the strength to suffer the blows of the people, and yet, for the well-being of the children of the world, I am proceeding on my chosen path in spite of ill treatment at the hands of some people who refuse to understand because their mindset has been spoiled. I suffer such treatment silently. When I ventured to write about the horrific scene of the Vanya community, my body begins to tremble and perspire profusely. By keeping the welfare of the children of the world uppermost in my mind, I take these sufferings in my stride and continue my tirade against the diabolic practice. I impress upon the people all over the world to take a united stand to dismantle their secret operation. The Banyas have tormented me by their diabolic power so intensely and severely that the suffering of Shanishchara at the hands of Ravana was less painful. Shanishchara, who had detected Ravana's sin, informed the whole world about it. To Vibhishana, he said, "Your brother Ravana is performing a diabolic ritual to harm the earth and the whole world. I have discovered his secret operation, and for the long life of children, I will mobilize the people to put an end to Ravana's sin." Hearing this, Vibhishana got scared, and for the sake of his clan's well-being, he disclosed the magnitude of his brother Ravana's diabolic practice. In this way, Shanishchara, a devout person, could detect Ravana's sin and made incessant efforts to finish it and was successful ultimately. But now the Banyas have started it once again, and the world is blissfully unaware of it. They have tormented me by their diabolic power, the same way as Ravana had tormented Shanishchara. Just as Shanishchara, having discovered Ravana's sin, appealed to the good sense of Vibhishana, asked him to disclose in detail the diabolic operation of Ravana and guaranteed the safety and well-being of his offspring, and Vibhishana had responded positively. In the same way, I inquire from the Banyas about their secret operation, telling them that, like Shanishchara, I do know about their sinful practice, and if they come out with the whole truth, their children and descendants will have a safe and secure future. But they are too die-hard in their roguery to come out so easily. Day in and day out, they are engaged in their sinful practice. This fact has been mentioned in some books. In this book, I too, for the information of the whole world, have repeatedly written about their performing a mystic ritual at some unknown place. It is my appeal to you to take a united stand to dismantle their secret operation in the interest of the safety and longevity of the coming generation of the world. You should do it during my lifetime, otherwise their sin will continue to harm the world. Like Ravana, they are engaged in this activity absolutely secretly. If you ask them, they would not tell anything about it. If people of the world take a united stand against their sinful operation, it can be dismantled, as was the case with Ravana's diabolism, which was demolished by the people unitedly. I try to make people understand, but their sense of judgment has been spoiled so badly that instead of listening to me, they laugh at me. They do so because they do not understand the gravity of situation. Once they understand it, they will not laugh off my advice. Bereft of the sense of judgment, people are making fun of me, saying that the Baba, the old man, has lost his senses. Somebody says he is having hallucination and therefore he is talking nonsense. Still others say it is likely that someone from the Bania community has taken away his property and so he is maligning them. My dear brother, no Bania has taken away my property, but they have certainly taken away your sense of right and wrong by their diabolic power. This is the reason why you are uttering these harsh words against me. A person who exposes the secret of the operation of diabolism has always been held in high esteem. Those who have exposed this sin and got it dismantled in the past have all been venerated by the people. Dear brethren, in this creation of God, all the people are avatars in their own right. Only they are rewarded differently according to the degree of devotion. A devoted person doing good work lives his good deeds in the world, while a person indulging in wrongdoings leaves behind his evilness. I am not doing anything wrong. I am taking all the trouble in order to see that the whole world becomes a better place to live in and people and their children live long and happily. With this aim, I am making people aware of the secret activity of the Banias which they are indulging in to harm the world. It will be good for the world if their sin comes to an end. But only I know what people have been telling me. As I have already written, people under the diabolic influence of the Banias have been using very harsh words for me. I feel hard, but do not complain to anybody. Rather, I plead before the people, explaining to them the nature and effect of the diabolic activities of the Banias. But still people do not think over it. Dear brethren, this is a very serious matter. That's why I am repeatedly warning you and urging you kindly to give a serious thought to my submission. I am trying hard to explain to you the doings of the Banias with the sole purpose of saving you and your children from a serious catastrophe. In return, you are calling me names. I am deeply hurt. I feel like dashing my head against something, but I restrain myself because if I do not expose them, who else will? Because the Banias have tormented me by their diabolic power and therefore I know about their secret activity. This is the reason that I have taken it upon myself to expose them. I am not carried away by what people say about me. I go from place to place and explain to the people the secret nature of their sin and exhort them to do something to dismantle it. Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, Karun and others, while indulging in a diabolic practice, had thought that they would rule the entire world and establish their supremacy over the rest of the world. But their sin became known to the people, who got together and dismantled it. The Banias, like Ravana, are nursing the ambition of ruling the entire world. I want to sound a note of caution to all of you that they intend to doom the world as a whole while keeping themselves safe and secret. They will create rivalry among different sections of people and instigate them to finish each other. All of you, therefore, should come together because it is in your own interest. Otherwise, your future is bleak. I, Sadhanobdas, humbly request to the Britishers who are presently ruling India to identify the Saudagar Mahajans and take steps urgently to finish their sinful practice. Another thing to be noted is the unawareness among all other communities about their secret operation which they use for killing others. Ironically, both the Hindus and the Muslims have great consideration for these Baniyas. They maintain the same bond of affection with them as children have with their parents. They have great regard for them. The rulers have conferred on them the horrific title of Shah, which is added before their names, whereas in Badshah, king, the title comes afterwards. This should be noted that these Saudagars are indulging in millions of evil practices, and yet both the rulers and the subjects have trust in their sincerity. That's why the title of Shah has been conferred on them. As a mark of respect, father's name comes first, followed by the son's name. The title was conferred on them because the rulers do not know that these Mahajans breach the trust of others without any compunction. They think that they are very pious and religious-minded people. So much respect is given to them that in an address the name of a Saudagar is mentioned first and then comes the king's name. This is to be noted that the rulers give so much importance to the Saudagar Mahajans that there cannot be any regime without the presence of the Saudagars in it. So the rulers and the people of the world see how these Mahajans have very cleverly won the trust of the people, and yet they do not desist from treachery. Like Ravana, these Saudagar Mahajans are performing their sinful rites secretly somewhere in an island in the midst of high seas. Consequently, deadly epidemics are breaking out year after year, taking a death toll of millions of people. People of the world attribute these calamities to the fury of God. They say that only God has the power to do so and no one else. My dear brothers, the Hindus, the Muslims and the Christians, please note that these Saudagar Mahajans like King Ravana, King Hiranyakashipu, King Kamsa and others have taken the forces of death and rain under their complete control, which is why they are capable of causing famine and diseases of various kinds by means of their diabolic power. God has promised all possible comforts to all living beings. How can a creator harm his own creation? Anything deteriorates only after it completes its lifespan. Just think how when spring comes, the forests covered with greenery look beautiful and pleasing to the eyes, but with the advent of autumn, the same forests look desolate when trees have shed their leaves. The leaves become pale and drop down when they have completed their life. Before that, they will never drop dead unless, of course, somebody plucks them or tears the branches. Alternatively, one can do it with one's diabolic power. When somebody practices diabolism to harm nature, strong winds begin to blow, which uproot a number of giant trees with all their leaves and branches. Similarly, man cannot die before completing his lifespan, nor does God kill him halfway. But now you see millions of people are dying at a very young age, year after year. Why is it so? Is it that during the Sati Yuga, when people died at the ripe age, the Almighty God was different, and now He is different? Which is why people all dying prematurely? Which is why people are dying prematurely? Take it from me that the intention of the Baniyas is to decimate a large population of the world. so that they can rule the whole world. The Banias have deprived the people of their thinking faculty. They think that the person trying to explain to them the intricacies of their sinful activities will die and people will not understand, and then their act of sin will continue as always. But it is my deep-seated yearning that the sin which I have found out should come to an end, and the people of the world and their offspring are saved from damnation. Their plan is that when very few people will be left in the world, they will have their supremacy over all the countries and continents of the world. The Britishers and others in foreign countries do not know the secret of this mystery. They have not tried to find out why people are dying so young. It is not due to the curse of God. No one dies like this. Of course, black magic can cause death to anybody. The Saudagar Mahajans practice black magic against the person whom they want to harm, and consequently that person dies. They are performing this black magic in an island in the midst of an ocean. That island is quite unknown to others and accessible only to the Saudagar Mahajans. They are wolves in sheep's clothing. Their show of austerity and religiosity is a sham. Outwardly, they present themselves in such a way as if they were the greatest devotees of the world. They do so in order to keep their real intention a closely guarded secret. They think that even if anybody by any chance becomes suspicious about their activities, he will dismiss his suspicion as a mere imagination when he will see them doing religious duties. This duplicity of the Banias should act as an eye-opener to the people of the world. They should see how religious-minded they appear and how sinful are their real activities. They are simply following in the footsteps of Ravana, who used the people of the world to desecrate the deities by throwing flesh and bones on them. People are offering flesh and bones to the deities at the behest of the Banias. Therefore, people are not to blame for this, because the Banias make them sick by their magic power and suggest to them that the unhappiness of the deities is the cause of their illness, and therefore they should sacrifice animals to propitiate them. Likewise, they cause famine and attribute it to the fury of gods. Then they suggest to the people that famine has occurred because they did not worship various gods and goddesses. In order to propitiate the deities, people sacrifice animals as suggested to them. Thereupon, the Saudagars cause rains by toning down their diabolic ritual. If they did not stop or tone down their sinful ritual, there would be no rainfall even if all the animals of the world are sacrificed. In such a situation, people will say that God did not want the rain to fall. These things happen in those countries where people sacrifice animals to propitiate the deities. You can ascertain this fact. The rulers are taken in by the outward behavior of the Banias. If they would know what their real intentions are, they would never trust them. Like Ravana, they too have devised the sense of judgment of all the rulers of the world. They, the rulers, would not listen to any sane advice. The Banias are creating feuds and rivalry among various kings and rulers. As a result, they are killing each other. People, including the Hindus, the Muslims and others, do not suspect their role in it, since they are operating absolutely secretly. If the rulers had known that after the death of Raja Bal, they are practicing diabolism, they would not have trusted these Banias and would have taken steps to curb their activities. I know from close quarters the sinister game of the Banias, but the kings, the rulers, the common citizens of the world are so stupefied by the diabolic influence that instead of condemning them, for their dastardly role, they are heaping encomiums on them, saying that the calamities are the manifestation of God's will and the Baniyas have nothing to do with it. The whole world has reposed so much faith in the Baniyas. They do not know that it is not the fury of nature but the doings of the Baniyas which is the cause of the world's miseries. Captivated as their mind is, they say that their survival depends on the good work of the Baniyas. Now, listen to me. When Ravana practiced diabolism, people had totally disregarded God and His mercy. They were all the time worshipping Ravana and expressing their gratitude to him for their survival. Now, the Baniyas are practicing diabolism, and people are praising them and thanking them for being their savior. During the times of Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa and Karun, people had forgotten God and expressed their gratefulness to those demon kings for all they did for them. Similarly, people in the present times are praising the Baniyas and bowing to their wishes and showing them the same respect and consideration as children have for their parents. As a child reports without fear everything to his parents, including their criticism by anybody, the people, both the Hindus and the Muslims, in the same way share everything with the Baniyas, treating them as their well-wishers. You people are seeing with your own eyes what is happening. I have also been watching how things are happening according to their plan. In India, even salt is provided by the Baniyas. Both the Hindus and the Muslims have always shown attention to them. But so ungrateful and treacherous are these Baniyas that they are ruining the whole world by practicing diabolism. So the rulers and the people of the world, the Hindus, the Muslims, the Christians, give a serious thought to the machinations of these unscrupulous people. See how they have drained out the old treasures to the kings and rulers. For this they perform a mystic rite which results in tearing apart of Earth's surface. Then they access the treasure and drain it out. This ritual is performed in an island where there are 84 lakh kundis filled with blood and pus. They have circulated stories about their secret scene like Ravana. These Mahajans have set up their own heaven and hell. They torment 84 lakh animals on as many kundis. This is how their diabolism works. Different kinds of magical practices are in vogue in the world. The aforesaid mystic practice known as Indrajal is the one. The aforesaid mystic practice known as Indrajal is the one which is performed by the Baniyas. They have destroyed the common people of the world. They do not let anybody get wind of their misdeeds. After draining out the treasures of the kings and the rulers, they suggest to the people that their wealth has abandoned them. People begin to parrot their words and say that Lakshmi wealth has slipped out of their hold. They would not say that the diabolism of the Baniyas has deprived them of their wealth. Bereft of the thinking faculty, they fail to see the role of diabolism. The way they drain out the treasures by tearing apart the surface of the earth, in the same way they make idols of gods and goddesses disappear from the temples by tearing apart the land. Even the temples disappear in this way. People are stunned to see such miracles. Then they instill an impression in their minds that the saints and yogis, the ascetics, are endowed with some supernatural power. The saints and the yogis themselves begin to feel that they do have that superhuman quality when the surface of the earth tears apart and they go down with their body intact. But it is no miracle on their part. In fact, the Saudagar Mahajans use their black magic to tear apart the surface of the earth and make the stretch of land hollow for a distance of, say, 200 miles. This provides a kind of tunnel to the sage who had gone down the torn land. After treading that distance underground, he comes out. So these Banias, armed with their diabolic power, are capable of tearing a piece of land apart and make it hollow to any extent. If they tear the land up to 4 miles, the yogi who went down the torn land will emerge at a point 4 miles away from there. Another thing that they have done is the construction of temples and shrines on the samadhis, graves of great divinities, Mahadev and other gods and goddesses. People sacrifice animals at the altar of these shrines. The images installed in these temples while devotees offer their prayers are removed through the underground channel built by tearing the stretch of land, and then they are made to appear at some distance. Thereafter, they declare that at such and such place an image of God or goddess has appeared. In this process, Mother Earth suffers. When a human being suffers from swelling and burning sensation due to flatulence, and as the painful sensation travels from, say, head to the back and then to the feet, he begins to writhe in an excruciating pain. The Mahajans are causing a similar pain and suffering to Mother Earth when they want to remove treasures or icons or even temples. Surreptitiously, they create a flatulence in the bowels of Mother Earth. The painful sensation traveling from one place to another serves as a conduit for transportation of these things which come overground at the predestined place. A human being experiences an excruciating pain when the painful sensation travels very fast from one part of the body to another. Similar pain is experienced by Mother Earth when things are drained out through the passage of our body. A number of diseases have been caused to Mother Earth which have made her weak and vulnerable. The fat content of Mother Earth, comprising the silver and gold mines, has dried up. When the images of gods and goddesses emerge, breaking apart the earth, people throng the place to witness the miracle. Wonderstruck, they pray to God and seek His blessings. This is a mere trickery of the Banias who make it possible by their diabolism, which they call the Kalukal. People rarely believe with awe in such miracles. They do not try to understand that it is the black magic of the Banias which has moved the images of gods and goddesses to far-off places. They do not for a moment think how the images made from stone can move from one place to another. They have lost their thinking faculty, and that's why they fail to identify the magical force behind such happenings. The diabolism of these Banias has stupefied everybody, and people do not understand in spite of my incessant efforts. Nobody notices how they have made the land hollow by tearing it and how they have removed treasures. They only know that the wealth has disappeared. The images from the temples have been removed in the same way. It is they who decide where the removed images would appear, and there only they appear. They perform the diabolic ritual and have the images removed. Before that, they circulate a message that at such and such place, which is at a distance of, say, 2,000 miles, the image of a god or a goddess will appear. In order to witness the miracle of God, a large number of people, including the kings and the others, throng the area with their hearts filled with joy. There they prostrate before the image of the deity. These happenings, that is, appearance of images, tearing apart of earth, occurrence of famine, outbreak of epidemics, draining out of treasures, loss of sense of judgment of the people, scarcity of rainfall, premature deaths are the contrivances of diabolism. This mystic ritual of Indrajal, which Ravana used to perform, has been taken up by the Baniyas after the death of Raja Bal. This happening of disappearance and then reappearance of the images is well known to the people of the world. But people, bereft of their thinking faculty, do not understand. The almanacs and other writings in circulation have confused them. They are the product of the Baniyas. Ravana, during his lifetime, had produced and circulated literature of this kind to confuse the world. After Ravana and other demon kings, the Baniyas have resorted to this practice. Just think, when we suffer from some ailment, say a fracture, how much pain we have to undergo. We forego our meals. These Baniyas are causing a lot of suffering to earth. They are tearing the body of Mother Earth by their diabolic power. I want to inform the people of the world about the misdeeds of these unscrupulous elements and tell them that Mother Earth, when hurt, experiences pain just like we do. But people are totally ignorant of this fact. The Saudagar Mahajans are causing a lot of pain to Mother Earth by performing the diabolic rituals. By producing and circulating misleading writings, they have confused the minds of the people who do not realize that, like Ravana, they are indulging in diabolism.